I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. Sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. Sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
Hello everyone, I cracked there. Welcome to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. Hope you're all well. Hope you're having a fantastic week, Friday, whatever. And upcoming weekend, no doubt. Joining me to talk about one subject, because like fuck is there anything else going on in the world? I'm sure we might be able to slide something else in, but it is highly unlikely, is Trups. Say hello, Trups.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, see, that sounded really good, and I wish I thought to grab a bottle from the side and pop the cork on it.
Yes.
My secretary for the stream has gone to get the Tullamore because it pops the best.
Lovely.
Here we go. Oh. Last night we did a VC on Discord and we tasted some absolutely astonishing samples. And he rocks up with the Bushmills 10 like I suggested, and the cork popped so well it spilled over my floor. Because he had to put so much effort in to do it, and the pop was like it was as satisfying as a whip crack.
Very good, very good.
How is Trups today?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when you want to do things but you just can't muscle it.
Yeah. I call it getting ready for December to try and abuse YouTube's monetization.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at.
But I have been doing some exciting things at least.
Do tell.
For example, with the assistance of my father in the near future, we're going to take an ottoman I bought, a wooden one, hardwood ottoman. We're going to cut 10 centimeters out of the middle of it and put it back together so I can fit it in a corner. And then I'm going to spend 350 odd pounds buying a bar for my cabin, custom made bar. Because I had a wizard idea and I was like, Dave, and he's like, yes, and I showed him and went, and he's like, yes. We're getting one of those. We're going to put not with a cork all over it.
Yeah, we're so getting one that we've already started looking at the bar signs we're going to have customised for it.
He's also looked at bar mats and beer and coasters. I just wanted additional space to store my whiskey.
Very good.
And I thought a bar would be a good one.
That's good, though.
Sorry?
That's good, though.
It is.
Fun.
Originally, I was just looking at the converted barrels, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw half one. And then underneath, I saw a bar, and I was like, the fuck is that? Clicks, sees more, and goes, these are custom made. I've reached out to the seller the maker of them this evening, and I've managed to get him. He's going to do it a certain length for me. He's going to adjust the shelves so I can put my bottles on them. And I'm like, this is awesome. At the end of the month, I am getting this bar. I'm going to have a bar in my living room, and I'm going to get rid of the TV because I don't really use it.
Which means I stay, I'm going to be sleeping in the bar.
He'll be sleeping. Well, that seems appropriate, really. Considering how much we drink, it makes sense. Anyway, yeah, what's Trups been up to this week?
Not a whole hell of a lot, except of course, paying attention to the news is joyful and exciting.
My Twitter feed has been filled with lots of red.
Yes,
excuses from people who have been trying to justify what they've seen as if it is somehow a collateral and therefore acceptable.
Oh, yes, and that is also something I've been doing this week. I've been sick.
I'm very sorry you've been under the weather. F in the chat, everyone, for Trups. But also, while we're here, can anyone that hasn't already on Twitch just wish Wildling in the chat happy birthday, because people forgot.
There you go.
There you go. I actually remembered on Twitch and decided to play Happy Birthday on the guitar because I thought it would be nice. The easiest way of me, I can't forget it though because it's the same day as my niece's birthday. How exciting!
Yeah, well, that's kind of cheating.
I mean, I have a slight advantage in that respect, but it is cheating. You're right. I'm sorry you've been ill. Are you feeling better now, or are you still?
A bit. It was like an upper respiratory thing, right? And so a lot of my existence right now is like the wet phlegm cough.
Oh, I've had a itch, dry cough.
Ugh.
Where I must have drunk something and some water and it just got stuck in the wrong tube and it refused to move.
Yeah.
Pain in the arse. But I'm very sorry you've not been well. I'm glad you're at least well enough to do this because it's been 4 weeks in a row, and it's always nice to do these streams.
True.
Even if only one.
We will not. It will be broken this next week, but that's okay.
I mean that's all right. I need more time to start working on end of year projects for December. So and I'll stream on Kick some Assassin's Creed. So it's quite all right.
Wonderful.
So, is there anything going on in America beyond the other subject, like going on that we should perhaps consider?
Honestly, I'm trying to think if I've even heard of anything else, right? Oh, I guess the Republicans are attempting to put in a new speaker.
So I've heard about that,
and they're doing their best. I think as much as they can, I guess, because they had a person who they were going to do to put up for a nomination.
Yeah.
But then he decided to step out of the role, citing essentially, my party doesn't have its shit together.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm not going to be a part of it. Which I thought was kind of an odd take.
So I'd heard that McCarthy could have actually possibly gotten his role back because of what was happening elsewhere in the world. And I thought that was really wild to hear as a claim.
I mean, I guess the problem is that when you have emergency situations, and we could classify this as such.
Sure, it is.
Well, right. It's just I don't know if it's a U.S. emergency.
The UN have, I'm sure they're the top authority, right? Everyone, yeah, no.
But yeah, I mean, we could say that in wartime, if we also declared war, it would have some more, I think some more backing to that claim. I'm not so sure if it counts really.
Right. Yeah. No,
and that's not me being like a pedantic shit. That's me genuinely going. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. Over here, there hasn't been much either, to be honest. We have had a member of the SNP party in UK Parliament, so SNP, Scottish Nationalist Party, Scottish Nationalist Party member for Parliament, as opposed to the Scottish one, which is just SNP. Yeah.
Okay.
Who's defected from their party to the Conservatives in protest against the SNP's toxicity, which makes sense because they're a toxic party of absolute arseholes. And
right.
They've responded by saying she was having a tantrum and should call for a by-election because Tory bad. That's one thing. The other is that parties are currently having party conferences right now. And obviously the Conservatives are trying to find a way to appeal to people, first of all by going back on their green policies. And Labour are like, they're reneging on their green policies, everyone. By the way, that green belt we have, that environmentally friendly area we have that goes across the country, which is why it's called a green belt, because it looks like a fucking belt without a buckle. We're going to turn it into a brownfield site so you can build houses on it. But we're green, everyone. We're not hypocrites.
That's
the extent
missing something.
Basically, our country's trying to achieve net zero. Yeah. But also, we need to build more homes.
Oh, well, that's problematic.
The green belt is protected because that is a nature environment. It's a natural environment. It's meant to be protected for the trees, the wildlife. My county is called the Garden of England. Right now, vast swaths of it are farmland being turned into housing. I disagree with this fundamentally. I think it should be flats. It costs more, yes, but you cover less space. That makes more sense. And they're also building more houses and not building more shops, GPs, schools, which is causing more problems as well. They're not investing in infrastructure, they're just building crap. And that's not great.
Right.
And with the Labour Party criticising the current government for saying that they're not green enough or going back on their net zero policy of being net zero by 2030 or 2040, the Labour Party have also contradicted it, though, by saying we're going to destroy an entire environment to build houses rather than do something to help the environment. That's hypocritical.
True.
That's the point, really.
Oh,
No, that's the only thing been going on here that I knew about beyond one party defector who will undoubtedly lose their seat next year. That's about it.
Well, that's thrilling.
It killed
I
11
mean-
minutes of the stream, though, so we've got 49 minutes to talk about Israel and Gaza, I guess, and Hamas.
Well, what I was gonna say in regards to the comment that you had made was, we also are having issues with we'll call it just urbanization or suburbanization, where
Nice.
they're building just more houses in areas that were rural.
That's
To a
pretty
certain
much what's happening.
extent,
Yeah.
I think that's fine, but I will say that it is a bit unsettling, I guess,
I'd heard
driving
about this on
through
Twitter.
like certain areas, and I'm just like, oh, there's another, house
Yeah.
complex. It's not even a house complex though; it's an apartment complex, right?
Yeah, just quickly answer something in the chat on YouTube. So, Furious, thank you for the $2 donation. The question: which UK party are lefties again? Labour, Lib Dems, SNP. Although I would argue, based on
Depends on the
horseshoe,
day.
based on horseshoe theory, they can also be argued to be right-leaning as well because they're idiots and don't realise they're also extremists that lean to the other extreme that connects with the other extreme. It's just bullshit. Thank you for the donation. We really appreciate that. I understand your grievance actually because there are areas here that have been, because of Londoners, ruined, where they've come here, gone to like coastal towns like one I live in, and
Right.
they build all these new houses and push everyone else because of the cost of living. And they the thing is, these people coming over from other areas and they build these new places, they're not adding any infrastructure to help with everything else. Instead, it's being rammed and resources being bled dry. That's not helping sustain the local area.
Yeah, we're having problems like that too, where like our streets aren't wide enough to accommodate all of these new buildings,
I
like
mean,
all the people.
I mean, that makes sense. Your country is quite fat.
Well,
What
I mean,
I mean is,
I'm entirely wrong.
well, it's quantity over quality. I have a question then. Does this track back to local politicians, state? Is this does this fall at the feet of the governor, or is this a federal thing?
Yes, all of them really,
I figured as much. Okay.
because basically what the problem like ends up looking like is like we have a federal housing shortage in the sense that we have many more people unemployed than we have unhoused than we have in housing.
That makes sense when you add to, or you compound the issue with sanctuary states or cities that are having to
Right.
welcome busloads, millions of people who are now like, stop sending them to us, but they live in that ivory tower happily saying, oh, you should all come here, bitch. No.
Right.
You're exacerbating. It's the same with the inflation problem now caused in Canada. Same problem we have as well. And we have to build X number of houses or properties a year to keep up with the population growth. You add more people, that number is going to go up. Eventually, there will be no. It'll become essentially like a space will become such a finite commodity. It can be treated like Japan, where flats and apartments are microscopic.
Well, right. That's kind of
Their
what
birth rate.
That's kind of, well, they are trying to fix that. They actually had an initiative where they were trying to how do I describe it?
Prostitute the women, because that's all right.
No. I mean, yes, but also no.
I knew you'd say that.
No. They have this thing where like dilapidated or abandoned houses
Yeah.
are being offered to to younger people for
Fixer uppers.
little to no cost. Um, and the way that they're doing it, or the argument that they're making with it, is that if they can revitalize the countryside by offering free housing to younger people, then they can make their country worth living in again.
The country is worth living. It's beautiful.
Oh, absolutely, it's gorgeous. But when you think about those rural areas, there is no industry, there is no like draw to those areas. Therefore,
True, it's the
economy
cities
in that
mostly.
area
You're
is
right.
garbage.
I
As
mean,
much as farming is important, it doesn't pay the bills.
I'll be honest. I'd happily live there if they gave me a couple drams of their whiskey a week. Japan. You agree, Dave?
Yeah,
You-
I have some interesting
I mean,
and,
that can be an offer, I'm sure, but I know that that's one thing that they are floating, that they are trying. But anyway, we have a federal issue with a housing crisis, but then I also live in a state that a lot of people are moving from blue areas and cities to, like, they're coming down here to leave the high tax bullshit.
The one they created,
Um,
yes.
Yes, of course, the one they
Like
created.
California to Texas thing.
Yes, exactly. So I get to now see. Well, it's especially funny when they come down and they ask what I would consider a stupid question, which is basically things like, "So, like, are all the people walking around with guns?" And the answer is, well, no. But if you ask, you might be looking for the wrong answer, because if they are walking around with guns,
They're going to try and change
cool.
that one day. You know
The
what I
better
mean?
question is, who isn't?
They're the people who are going to then try and get the law changed so that you can't open carry.
It's not gonna fly down here. I don't think.
You're in the south, aren't you?
I am.
Even though based on what I'm looking at on a map, you're not.
I mean, I'm in the south. Yeah.
Doesn't look very southern to me.
Eh,
I'm from the south. No. You sound
I mean,
nothing like it.
I'm not South American. If that's what you
I'm
mean.
sure you'd love it there.
Oh yes, I could rule the world with all my
Snort all
broomstick
the
days.
sherbet.
Oh yeah, that too. But anyway, I think we've stalled.
Yeah, 20 minutes. We tried, okay? We tried. All right.
All right.
So I have seen a number of, I would say memes, but they're not really memes, from
Mhm.
certain left-wing activist groups of silhouetted paragliders with a Palestinian flag, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And the message is, I support Palestine, or I stand with Palestine. And my first thought when I first saw that was, but isn't Palestine run by Hamas?
Yes.
Last I checked, Hamas was
Well,
not.
okay, Gaza is run by Hamas.
Okay.
This becomes very, very nuanced, so I will stop you every once in a while.
That's fine.
I
That's fine.
apologize.
I'm happy for that because Gaza is meant to be Palestinian, isn't it? A territory.
Yes, Gaza was given to the Palestinians in, I believe, 2005.
So, as far as I was aware, the connection for that and Palestine is quite, like, land-wise, quite odd. Because there's a gap. It is there, but it's so. How the fuck are you supposed to get from Gaza to Palestine without any issues?
Well, so originally Gaza used to have 6 gates and points of entry that you could have gone between Israel and Gaza, and then anywhere else. So the surrounding areas, you have Egypt, I guess you would have the West Bank, you would have Lebanon to the north.
Yeah.
You would have a bunch of different options to go. But to get from Israel to Gaza, there were 6 places. Now, if you're asking how to get to the West Bank from Gaza, you're not really supposed to.
Yeah. So Gaza, to me, always, because it belonging to Palestine, always seemed like it was its own. Okay, so in the UK, we have what are called crown dependencies. There are other countries around the world that we control, but not control at the same time. That's what it felt like to me, like a dependency on Palestine in that way. Yeah. But I wasn't entirely sure what the hell it was about.
Well, Gaza is just this really tiny little area that's basically just shoved into the side of Israel, essentially.
Yeah, and for years this has been a hotly contested region, Gaza, because it wasn't it called the West Bank or Belt or something?
No, West Bank is north.
Sorry,
it's where Jerusalem is.
Right. So this is where I get very confused. I'm not a geography person.
I have a map for you here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I just pulled it up for my own edification because I think I was wrong in certain places.
Right. So, thank you, West Bank. That's perfect. So I knew there were issues with that as well for years as well. But with where Gaza is, it is such a small region, but it is so hotly contested. Jerusalem, I don't think that should be. It's the capital. Don't try me.
I mean, it wasn't until recently.
I like that people calling Trump anti-Semitic, yet he did more over there for them than anyone. And also, he led the way with recognizing Jerusalem as the capital as opposed to Tel Aviv. He moved the embassy to Jerusalem. The man did more to help than he did against. And people were calling him anti-Semitic. And yet you got people on Twitter saying, I stand with Palestine while championing Hamas. I find that incredibly disingenuous. And I'm really sorry for those who are getting ads. I don't insert them, so I don't quite understand.
I'm surprised they even dare put ads on this.
It'll be demonetized afterwards, don't worry. They'll demonetize it themselves. So, I don't support Hamas in the slightest with regards to Gaza. If Palestine own it, then it shouldn't be Hamas in charge of it.
So, what that whole area was, as far as I'm aware, was Hamas has been around since the 90s, and essentially they were a fundamentalist group that was pro-Palestinian.
There you are.
And
the thing with Hamas over the years is they've aligned with some of our politicians here. Jeremy Corbyn gave them a platform, but the people he gave a platform to had committed acts of domestic and international terrorism. Yes. And so for me, whatever Hamas was supposed to be, it is not that
right.
now.
Well, right. Well, I was going to get to that. Yeah, I was getting there.
I just wanted to set the connection for the sake of it.
However, their interaction or their existing relationship with Israel is, well, they hate it for its existence. So it makes sense that they would not be too fond of things. The problem is when you look just at Hamas's operations since getting Gaza in 2005, it's never been peaceful.
No, it hasn't.
And so this is the part that kind of confuses me a lot when I see the protests. Like we've had them all over our country, and you've had them all over yours, and also France, and also Canada, and a bunch of other places for some fucking reason. The fact that we had to give Israel the Iron Dome was because...
By the way, that is cool. Not even gonna lie, I've seen some of the pictures of that. That looks cool. Not obviously, I do want to see it. I don't want to see it in action, but to see it in action is quite impressive.
Oh, right. I agree 100%. That thing is awesome. But it's really odd when you have to look at something like that and go, all right, why did we have a need to put that there in the first place? Well, it's because they were getting attacked via rockets. Right?
So that was a daily thing as well. There had to be a chance to defend themselves, and America, you're known for wanting to help. And to be fair, I don't know when that was given, but for years, Trump was trying to diffuse that. Middle Institute, and he had achieved some things, hadn't he? He had actually managed to get a deal put on the table. In fact, things were starting to move in the right direction.
The Iron Dome was development of the Iron Dome first began in 2007. So 2 years after they got Gaza. Or Gaza was given away to Hamas. Yes.
Yeah, 1 year before Obama.
Yes. The Iron Dome was deployed finally in 2011, and it's been upgraded ever since.
That's
so
cool.
the project started under Bush, then was deployed under Obama.
I mean, it makes sense under Obama because he'd never send a drone strike there, but he bloody well loved his drone strikes.
He did. But the fact that we had to put it there, right? It explains that there is a need. It means that this peace offering of Gaza, wasn't really appreciated, I suppose, or at least they were not very kind recipients of said thing.
Yeah.
So okay, awesome. We had to give them an anti-missile system. Cool, awesome. So why in the world were we even having why did we presume that this situation was peaceful in the first place? Now begins the conversation about intention and motivation.
Yeah. So
the protest. So go ahead.
Before you get to that part, I could have sworn under Yasser Arafat there was more peace. Comparative,
that might be.
At least.
I don't remember.
I remember Yasser
How
Arafat.
long ago was that?
Yasser Arafat was very highly respected. Hang on, I've got a historian next to me. Yasser Arafat, you remember him, don't you?
Yeah.
He was fairly well respected, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was it was a lot more peaceful than it is now. I could have sworn it was.
Yeah, there's been periods of time where they've had understandings between Israel and Palestinian leaders. And
Dave, get closer to the mic.
Hang on, I'll bring it to him because he's fucking useless.
Sorry. Yeah, there have been points when Israel and Hamas, or Israel and Palestine, have been fairly civil and had general agreements. Even Palestine and Hamas have been, at points, kind of working towards the same goal when they've been doing. Hamas have been more focused on the humanitarian element of bringing, schools and stuff to regions, but of course they were doing that to get control of the regions later.
Okay, go back to your whiskey now. You're done talking.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Peanut Gallery.
Handy dandy that we have one of those.
Alligators on drawing of maps. Let me know.
One of those history buffs. We love that.
Very handy. I remember Yasser Arafat. I just remember his name because it's such a distinctive name. It's like,
it might be a little too old for me.
It's like the Iranian leader. I'm a dinner jacket. Well, it was I'm a
Is
dinner
that like
jacket.
Booty Gig?
Yeah, it's like Booty Gig. Yeah, I'm a dinner jad was his name. But if you can't pronounce that, you just say I'm a dinner jacket. And that was a running joke on a TV show, basically.
Yes. So anyway, the motivations for this current problem, though, has been pretty much spoken through most of the protests. Now, of course, the protests don't obviously speak for the actual people of Hamas, but it's very interesting to hear them say the quiet part out loud. So,
yeah.
As far as we are concerned, it sounds like they believe that Israel has no claim to the land that they are currently operating on.
Right.
This has been always the discussion since Israel was trying to be formed in 1947. In fact, when it was established in 1947, then they fought off 7 nations.
As you do.
Right, as you do when you are Israel. But the comments of the supporters have been distressing because they believe that if you are settler, right, then that means that you do not deserve things, or you don't deserve to live in that land. You are a settler, therefore you are worse than dirt as
I could
far
have
as they are
sworn
concerned.
in my lifetime, Israelis did live in one of those regions, and then they all had to leave to give that land back to somebody.
Believe there was a back and forth for a while.
Yeah, I remember this because I know that they didn't want to leave and they weren't being given new homes, and then war started straight after. It wasn't like...
Well, that wouldn't shock me because, as well, if you go back before Hamas, then, or rather, before Israel was in existence, 1940s, it would have had to have been owned by the Palestinians. Before that, it would have been owned by presumably whatever Ottomans or whatever empire had ruled that steppe for that period of time. And then eventually you'll get back to, I believe, Rome at some point. I think eventually you get back to Rome.
Yeah, you do.
To owning that area. So like the leg to stand on to basically say, oh hey, well, we were here first. Well, okay, it's we've had quite a bit of back and forth in this area for centuries, if not millennia. We should probably not really consider anybody's like, oh, I was here first argument as much of giving it too much weight.
Yeah. Okay, so with this context,
Yeah.
what the fuck happened?
So last Saturday,
Yeah.
Hamas paraglided over the border, went through holes in the fence, attacked by land, sea, and air into Israel. Took out several areas in the south of Israel. They have a word for it, a kibbutz, which is their basically a communal living area where basically everyone like just puts into a pool and that helps everybody.
Yeah.
So they took about, I think, 3 or so different villages in the south. And after that, you basically had Hamas taking, they took 3 villages, and then they also attacked a music festival.
So I knew about
This
that
is
because the girl has been in the news who may or may
Right.
not be here, may or may not be unalive. Which
I think she is.
So the picture of her that was released, she was naked in the back of a truck. A guy sat on top of part of her body. Her leg was at a
Right.
very odd angle because it was clearly broken.
Right.
To avoid getting into trouble with YouTube, I've recently decided to go down a different path. Instead of saying death, we say fluorine, uranium, carbon, potassium, erectile dysfunction, which is fucked. If you don't know,
Sure.
I could have gone with
Why not?
Einsteinium and deuterium, but that would be a bit too silly.
Okay.
But YouTube's got me approved for monetization for saying it instead of saying death penalty. So if we mention death, I might use that instead because I'm a dickhead.
Well, I see why you've said it already, since I've already kind of screwed the pooch on that one.
Yeah, I thought I'd just mention it.
Yeah,
Hindsight's key.
Yeah, true.
But there is belief that she is alive, though, at least. Yes.
Yes, I believe that actually her family had received a phone call from a hospital that said that she was in fact alive. Has a head injury, but she's alive.
I hope she is.
Well, right. That's kind of like that's kind of what we're.
Because I don't know what provoked this attack in the first place.
So there's a lot of speculation. In my personal opinion, now I've had numerous arguments about this in the past already.
Yeah.
And some actually very kind conversations. Actually, you and I had talked about it earlier, like in the week.
Oh yeah.
I suspect that the reason for this is that Hamas is trying to sow a sense of discord amongst the region for any of those who would want to align themselves with Israel. So this would entail things like Saudi Arabia, in this case, who was about to, have a deal with them,
They were.
a peace deal,
That deal
in which
was
they
on the table because of Trump, wasn't it?
I guess so.
I believe he was, because he was one. He set the ball rolling on that.
I won't doubt you.
It was one of the last things that happened when he was in office. I remember this quite clearly.
Well,
It
I
happened
remember
after as well.
I remember the Abraham Accords, but I don't think Saudi Arabia was really on par or on the.
Well, what nation was it then? Because it was a Middle Eastern country that was going to be a part.
I know that UAE was part of the Abraham Accords.
Maybe it was them. Maybe it was them. My mistake.
That's all right. So I know that some of them were definitely involved, but I can't be certain that it was. I don't think it was Saudi Arabia, but anyway, the complication comes in with. I don't believe that Mohammed bin Salman will play too nicely with Hamas, basically telling them that they're not allowed to do their own what's the word? Like peace deals. They're not allowed to do their own international politics, right?
Yeah, right.
I think it's actually quite ballsy of presumably Hamas, presumably backed by Iran.
I would assume that maybe even Russia at this point.
Russia, China, anybody really. But Iran being the largest state sponsor of terrorism wouldn't surprise me.
I would say Russia definitely, because they have said if anyone tries to send anything to Israel, they'll intercept it.
Well, I mean, you'd have to move a strike team directly next to the USS Ford and Roosevelt. Good luck.
I would also argue that Russia's threats mean nothing. We've seen how many of their people have been used as glorified target practice in Ukraine.
True. But anyway, so the concert that they attacked, 200 and something, 60, I think it was, 240, 260, people were killed at that festival. And amongst the people at that festival, many of them were taken hostage.
I remember that now, actually. I remember that. Oh.
So I'm trying to think of like all the situation. Oh, amongst those, and this is why we're involved. The U.S. is involved. Amongst those hostages are Americans, and they did an oopsie because they fucked with Americans.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with the American one, because you guys don't need an I mean, if you had someone perhaps who had a sentient brain, they might be slightly threatened by it. I wouldn't. Generally speaking, don't make it a point to fuck with America on that one.
Right. So they took American hostages, and now they're going to pay the price for it.
I would say that based on your president's behavior with the extraction of in Afghanistan, my hopes aren't that high. I'm more inclined to believe he'd send a drone strike and just kill everyone.
Some people have offered that thought process, actually.
Collateral.
Some people have entertained the idea that we would use the weight of the hostages may not outweigh the plausibility of eradicating Hamas. This is a very much a seeing red kind of um, perspective, I think,
Yeah.
and I'm not too fond of it.
Yeah, I don't agree with it at all. I don't support the idea of harming innocent people just to achieve an
What
end
the
goal.
fuck is that?
That's a box we're trying to open with biscuits in, and we're failing at it miserably.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I do not support the idea of erasing life under the guise of, oh, but we get them all at least, because you can't guarantee it.
Right. Unfortunately, well, I don't know what their options really are going to be moving forward is a real problem, because America doesn't know where the hostages are being kept. They're being kept in Gaza, which is like it's roughly, I think they said something like the size of Washington D.C., or in fact maybe even smaller. I can't remember. So you have an operating area, but that's still like still a decent area to try and cover. And
Years
clearly the Israeli intelligence isn't going to be able to provide that information.
Years ago, there is a politician called Naz Shah, Labour politician she is. She's had to live with this for years. English Muslim, made a mistake. She supported a Facebook group and a page that wanted to move Israel from Israel to one of your states. And I thought,
Yeah, but that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
the religious importance of that region to many faiths is quite something. So how do you take that with you? Are you going to cut the land out and just stick it on top? Maybe give it some grav plates and let it float around like some kind of Dalaran?
Oh, no idea. I think that whoever proposed that idea is intentionally missing the point.
Mm-hmm.
I think, because you could say the same thing about Palestinians.
You could.
Why don't you just go somewhere else?
Why don't you instead just cut the top part of Israel equal size and just give them that instead?
Well, right. Like the problem is that one side is willing to work out a compromise. The other side wants to kill them.
Well, we've seen that.
And at that point, there's no longer a conversation to be had. Like, when you get down into the nitty-gritty of this situation, it's that the Muslim fundamentalists, and I'm specifying the fundamentalists, the religious zealots, believe that their method of reclaiming the Holy Land must be through violence, or must be absolute even if violence. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas the peaceful option, the two-state solution, or even the giving Mount Sinai back to Egypt, or allotting Gaza to Hamas, like all these things, right? These were concessions given by Israel.
Right.
What concessions have the Palestinians given? Rockets. That's their concession. Their concession is, here, have an explosive. And that's not, we're not operating on the same page, unfortunately. And this is, unfortunately, this becomes a very, very like saying it out loud. You hear the xenophobia, right? Like the quintessential comments that people would call xenophobia. But I've been called a Zionist before, so I guess fuck you.
There's been a lot of that on Twitter. It's so polarizing.
Well, you know, it's really funny that this is such a polarizing thing, because I have one of our senators, Lindsey Graham, has made a statement while talking on the news about this very issue. And he said that we are in a holy war, and that Israel should flatten Gaza. I don't know if I would want to go the route and say, yes, we are definitively in a holy war. That seems like a battle nobody wins.
No one does. No offense to anyone who's religious here. But as someone that's not religious and I don't care about the atheism thing, agnostics, I don't give a shit. No, no. I've always believed that religion is one of the worst causes of war and death, needless, pointless death. And I get how important that belief system is to you. But quite frankly, in this instance, with this, it's never going to stop until either one group is entirely erased, or somebody finds their testicles and decides, okay, I don't need them as much. Let's have a conversation instead. Problem is, as you pointed out, one group in this doesn't, and it's not an entire group, it's just one group of this doesn't want to, because they're just dickheads.
Right. They just don't want. I don't wanna is essentially what they said.
I just, as a non-religious guy, I just think that I just find that religion to me holds back humanity a lot. And I'm not saying it to those who are religious. I'm sure you are lovely people. I'm not here to judge your faith either. I just look at it from my outside perspective and think I'd much rather believe in something that, let's say, is a bit safer. Like, I don't know, immutable facts that can be proven. No, I'm just baiting. No, just perhaps something. I don't want to put my faith into something because I don't find that to be comforting. Whereas I know it is for many, but to act violently on behalf of what gives you comfort, to me, comes across as very narrow-minded and very unenlightened for people who believe something that is supposed to be enlightening.
Right.
I just don't. I don't find that to be quite any. I find that to be quite constricting to what a life experience can be. You can go to heaven and worship your God even more. Oh, okay, that's life, is it? Worshipping some bitch. All right.
You have a very skewed sense of religion.
No, I don't really care about religion. I don't mean to be baity on purpose. I'm just being a dick for the sake of it. But just,
no, it's fine. I get it. But I think an important detail that is often missed is that I don't necessarily think that religion is for other people.
I do think
it's
that
for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that might be where the issue, and one of the many issues arises, though, in this, is that the interpretation is everything's tribalist. You're all a part of it. You must believe this version. And there are so many different versions of the same one that that also causes infighting within many religions where, say, you have Christianity and you have different versions of it.
Right. Christianity, Catholicism.
Yeah. Catholicism, what's the one there? Protestant? Yeah. That
Protestant,
yeah, that caused
Lutheran.
Problems. Yeah.
Baptist.
You got Islam with many different types of Muslim as well. It's not
Sunni,
uncommon.
Shia.
Yeah, it does. And I think that you're never going to have the one version that rules all. It's not a one ring situation. I just, in this instance, Hamas believe a version of their faith, and I think their version is quite poisonous.
Well, the problem is that okay. So let's think about Catholicism or Judaism
So
or
the Abrahamic
even
religions, yeah.
Yeah, any of the Abrahamic religions. How many of those want to be or assert themselves to be the one and only true religion and call everybody else, apocryphal or, something of that nature?
Didn't one start after the other and then immediately try and one-up the Son of Christ by saying, oh, we got a prophet?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Islam was founded closer to 900 AD.
I didn't know that. So I don't pay attention to religion. Again, I don't give a shit, really.
I love the history behind it.
Sure, the history part is fascinating to some people. And there is some fascination there, sure. For me, it's a fascinating way of observing humanity's progress to see what we are so desperate to still hold on to and why. I like that because that's intriguing to me.
Well, I mean, the idea of religion, I mean, the simple answer as to why do we do that is because we have no earthly concept of what death is, and religion was a form to explain nature's operations up and including life and death.
I'd often thought that might have been, that would definitely be it. But I also thought it was a way of calming humanity's more reactive and more absurd, like not like superstition, but when they are afraid of something, they take comfort in something else. Yeah, they can't explain something.
It can be that
they can't explain something. They attribute it to their god, and I found it to be a way of trying to rationalize what at the time could not be rationalized, whereas now much of what couldn't be rationalized then now is easily explained with many different things. Yeah, sure, like thunderstorms. Yeah,
right.
Oh, that's God's wrath. Actually, no, and it's not two clouds rubbing together either. Shut up.
My favorite was I quite enjoy things like exploring, like, oh, what did the Greeks believe? Oh, well, Apollo, he drags the sun across the sky in his golden chariot. That was actually a very common thought process because other civilizations had similar ideas because they couldn't comprehend what is sun.
In the chat, someone's mentioned this isn't all about faith and religion. You're absolutely right. Of course it's not. But this is a huge part of it.
Right.
You're right to say that, Kelly. We do agree that there's more, but it cannot be ignored. It's just part we're going to latch onto for a minute because I don't give a fuck about religion.
Well, the other problem is that
Helios, yes, it is actually, Michael.
Well,
the sun god.
If you're
different pantheon.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. He's more correct. Apollo is different. Yeah. Thanks.
We'll make mistakes.
Yeah. Well, my brain's not working. So the observation that we have, yes, it's not all about faith and religion, and that is true to a point. It's not sufficient enough to say that it's not about religion when you talk about the contextual issues that they're having. Like, if you ask why Gaza, why the West Bank, why the two-state solution, it all boils back down to, well, they both believe that they have a claim to this land, which is their holy land. So as much as we want to say, no, it's not about religion, it mostly is.
You'll remember this also started because of World War II, wasn't it? Was it World War
I? World War II.
Yeah, and this has been a problem ever since.
Yeah.
It's not
going
to change.
It's not going to change because they don't want it to change.
Exactly. Anyway,
it's not their intention to have these kinds of discussions. Their whole shtick, and I say they as in anybody who is fighting over Jerusalem, is that they believe that they are the chosen people of God. And that is why they fight tooth and nail over this Holy Land. I think it's really funny that Christians have basically backed the fuck off out of this. I think it's absolutely hilarious that we just decided to go, you know what? Have fun. Go. You want to go do that? That's fine. We've been here before. We took our lickings, and you know what? We're done. We're done here. I think that's probably one of the funniest pieces to this whole debacle. All things considered, because of course you have Christians who could also lay a claim to that land too. But I guess we don't. We just opted not to.
Okay. Just a thing, by the way, for the chat. This is one of the many reasons I don't talk about faith, by the way, because you all have some fantastic perspectives, and I can't speak for much of it because I don't. Again, my interest is very limited on it. I'd rather play video games and read books.
Can confirm.
Yeah, but let's think about the games that you particularly enjoy because they have a very, very appropriate thing. Let's talk about Assassin's Creed real quick.
I was wondering when you bring Assassin's Creed up. I like their
Well-
explanation for the gods is a different species of being before that have triple helix.
Well, not only that, but it's also a it's very anti-Catholic.
It also shows how humanity's mind works, because when they show cutscenes of the Isu, they show them in these like beautiful palaces and all this grandeur, but then you see the reality of it. Actually, they're not living it up as much as people. They're just really scientifically advanced. They don't look as godly as people seem to think.
Right.
It's very. I do agree. There's a lack of. It seems to be fair. Catholicism has been able to dunk on Catholicism. Is normalized in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do the same to the other two.
Right.
Ever.
True. And I don't know if it's because the dominant religion in the conquering forces in history were primarily of Catholic origin.
I thought with I thought with like Judaism, I thought it was because the Holocaust made sure you could never joke about them again.
You could say that too, I guess.
I think that was one for me. That's what I always thought. I could be wrong. That's understandable. I get things wrong all the time. With Islam, I thought it was because they existed in one very specific area for a long time. When they ventured out, there was a lot of cultural practices and norms of being more assertive as opposed to integrating with the country you went to.
The Islamic part is really fascinating because of the difference that they went through over time. So at one point, Islam was, I think it was the most educated society that we had, because the golden age of Islam, where all the astronomy and the mathematics that were coming out of what was Egypt, and then later on and in time, a lot of this was Islam in their own very 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 educated methodology to go forth and expand what would be human civilization. I don't know what the fuck happened since then. I know that there was a civil war between the Sunni and the Shiite Muslims, but I don't know past that.
There's some fascinating history when it comes to the Kaaba, the House of God. Been destroyed, I believe, once or twice. The keys of it are held by a tribe, and that's a historical cult. That part I'm intrigued by, but only because I want to see if the wall is straighter than a council house.
Okay.
Or whether he has a bed inside, perhaps. Because House of God, surely he has an armchair, a TV, maybe a mini fridge with some God beer. God scotch. And
God scotch.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe, it depends on your interpretation of your God. It could be for Trups here. It could be a God that likes Knob Creek. For me, it'd be a God that likes I don't know, something.
Something.
What do I like?
What do you like?
Well, I'm asking my friend with a mouthful of biscuit he's got from me. What would a God like to consume if it was my God?
Single malt scotch, preferably peated, possibly from Islay.
Islay, fucking twat. So my God is Lord John Marbury, the Earl of Croy. Yeah.
Marcus of Salisbury, Baronet of Bricey, and
Okay, well that's fantastic. Yeah, I guess that's and that's another aspect I find quite interesting, because a lot of people do have their own interpretation of what their God is to them.
Some people actually have the ability to actually express a different variant of their religion, depending on if you are part of a less formal, or if your religion does not have an official church, especially one without let's say it was a revitalized version of an older religion.
Oh, okay.
Neo-pagans in particular.
So not
I don't
Jedi Temple
them.
then.
Well, no. Though I'm not too much a fan of some of the neo-pagans, because some of them just piss me off to no end.
I've seen I've had a few people in my Twitch chats and on YouTube say they're pagan, and
But I'm also one of them. Is the thing.
Well, I don't discriminate against belief. I'm
That's
very
fine.
intrigued by the differing people that have said they are pagan and what it is, what it means to them. I had a housemate that was I don't know if it's religion, but she was Wiccan.
Right.
Is that faith or is that just a?
Yes. Well, yes and no.
I believe she considers
Wicca
herself,
is essentially like the idea that you are a witch.
She definitely wasn't
like-
that. She was just some silly little emo who thought she was something else.
Well, that's usually what it boils down
They're
to.
naked dancing around a big open flame with a bunch of guys, totally not wanting to fuck her.
Yes,
So,
of course.
To be fair, she was
very.
she was unfuckable, so it's fine.
That we won't. I won't say what I'm thinking.
I pot kettle black. I know, but I'm English, so it's fine.
No. That wasn't what I was thinking, but I'll tell you later.
Okay.
No. But the situation that we have currently going on in Israel is American forces have already moved fucking closer. We have a we have a strike team. We have an aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean, basically sitting right outside of Gaza, going, "Yeah, fucking do it. I dare you."
Gaza's going to get leveled.
Well, hopefully we get the people out first.
I hope so too. That's the part that really I've seen the ambulances and some people stopping them and others saying no, they must help, or they're not able to help enough people and they really want. These videos are harrowing. It's not. I feel really bad.
War
for
isn't pretty.
desperate. No, it never is. But this is where it's genuinely innocent people are not. They're not even involved. They're just being. They're collateral to the side.
Right.
And I can't. Oh, Archduke Ferdinand, he's already been killed as well. I just can't. Nah, I don't like that. But the fact that some people are willing to do that is just. I can't respect you at all in the slightest. No, we don't take innocent lives.
Now, some of you who are either watching this now or will watch this later are asking yourselves probably, why aren't we talking about X news report about thing happening? It's because we don't know enough about what's going on to be able to confidently say as a matter of news that this thing is happening. So whether that be, oh, hey, did you hear about the babies, or did you hear about the thing? Yeah, we've heard about it, but we don't know if it's real or not, because
we also can't comment on it because we can sort of mention this now like that, but we can't on YouTube do that because we're just a small streaming channel. We're not a major news network that can get away with talking about that without getting hit with a strike. And at this time of year, as I'm getting closer to Christmas, if I get a strike on this channel, I can't upload to my main channel for a whole week. That's not happening.
Right.
We have to play the game when it comes to this. And to be honest, talking about another aspect of this, the influence of it, I think is actually quite... fuck you, Dave. It's quite interesting to talk about, because I may come across as a bit rude when it comes to my perspective on faith, but I genuinely don't really care at all. But if you do act in the name of your faith to cause harm to innocent people, at that point, your perspective on your faith, I'm allowed to be a dickhead about, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's fair.
Proper propaganda, chaps. Yeah, that's what we're trying to avoid. At least part of it.
That's A-G, not E-R-G.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna tell him.
I will, because I'm a spelling. Well, I won't say the last word because it feels a bit a bit poor taste considering we're talking about Israel.
Well, it's a joke of the K and what it means when you take a really hard look at something.
Yeah. Okay, we have hit gone past the hour mark. I know you normally have to vanish to do something else.
I do.
You're not here next week?
I am not.
Okay, then we'll be back in a couple of weeks. This will be on Rumble and Spotify tomorrow. I will be next week, for those who are curious, then on Kick streaming, well, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I might go back to Asgard and try and complete the bloody thing after that wolf issue. Thanks again for joining us, everyone. Really appreciate it. And we hope to see you in a couple of weeks' time. If you have anything you'd like to talk about in the comments of this, please be respectful. While I may have or come across a bit of a dick with my view on religion, again, I really don't care about faith. It's not for me, so I don't judge unless you try and push it on people or harm others with it. Beyond that, no, we're fine. Say goodnight, Trups.